All right, I have a quick question for all you Russell Westbrook haters out there. Now, a lot of you guys are saying, Paul George is stupid to sign with OKC because really you're saying Paul George is stupid to team up again with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook must be a pretty decent person because Paul George has clearly taken a liking to him to the point where Paul George, who made it clear last year that his eventual destination was going to be Lakers, now has suddenly had a change of heart and wants to play Russell Westbrook. And I think it's partially because he sees in Russell Westbrook a guy who has a passion for winning and is going to do anything possible, anything that he possibly can to achieve that dream. Because people forget, we all talk about Michael Jordan and all the rings and all that stuff, man, but we got to remember before the 1991 season, the narrative was, well, Jordan can't win like Bird and Magic. He shoots too much. Yeah, he's a great individual player, but he shoots the ball too much. He doesn't trust his teammates. He needs to defer to Pippen or some other guys, and, all he is a ball hog that can't win. Does that sound familiar to you motherfuckers? Russell Westbrook, he's a great player, but he can't win like KD or LeBron or Curry and them. He can't win. He shoots the ball too much. Well, I was looking at some numbers. His shots per game this past season, his shots per game were down. More importantly, his three-point attempts were down from 7 a game to 4 a game. All right? That was one of the criticisms a lot of us had. Even me, I thought sometimes Russell shot too many 3 points considering that he's a below average 3-point shooter. More importantly, his turnovers are down. His turnovers per game are down. And his shooting percentage is way up. The year he won the scoring title, all right, when he averaged 31.6 points per game, he shot 42.5% from the field, which, considering his size, is really not that bad. Allen Iverson, for his career, shot exactly 42.5% from the floor. This year, Russell Westbrook shot 45% from the floor. Yet, we always hear about how he's this horrible shooter, he's a bricklayer, la 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 blah blah fucking la, right? But the media narrative of Kobe, who for his career was 44.7%, and his last few years had seasons where he shot in the 30th percentile, which is something we haven't seen since the fucking 50s. Nobody brought that up. You didn't hear anything about field goal percentage with, you look at ESPN. They never brought that shit up. Rarely, very rarely, maybe, you might hear Skip Bayless, somebody mention Kobe's horrible shooting percentage the last couple of years, but you didn't hear that. But Russell Westbrook, every time he shoots bad, here come the haters. Oh, well, look, Russell only shot 7 for 24, man. They can't win. It's this guy. But when he scores 50, when he scores 30 points and has a triple-double, when he scores 28 and has a monster triple-double, you motherfuckers are conspicuously quiet. Now, maybe the thing is that you guys know that he's a great player, but you don't want to give him credit, man. Some of it is you guys just don't like him personally for whatever reason. Some of you guys are strategically hoping and praying and wishing that he looks bad because it makes your support of Durant looks better. There's a lot of posturing and shit with a lot of these arguments, man. Instead of just being honest. Is Russell Westbrook perfect? No. Do I sometimes think that he takes bad shots? Of course. But see, I'm a fan of his, but I'm not a fanboy to the point where I excuse everything he does. And this past year, he's played better. And I think OKC, they have a year under their belt. This year, the chemistry should be better, and they should win a lot more than 48 games. The defensive potential is there. They were missing Roberson for a large stretch of the second part of the season. Hopefully, he'll be healthy this year. And but one thing Roberson has to work on, if anybody's been criticizing this team, it's Andre Roberson, because he has a game which is not suited for the NBA of today. All right? Roberson could have been a starting shooting guard in the 90s. Even then, it would have been kind of hard because I can't remember too many shooting guards who didn't average at least 15 points a game starting the NBA back in the 90s. You had to be a scorer at that position. But I could excuse that in the 90s because the average team for some years only averaged, 80, you had teams averaging only 90 points a game back then. You had some teams in the playoffs only putting up 79 points a game because of the defense that was played back then. You know what I'm saying? So a guy only scoring 7 or 8 points a game is kind of okay. You could deal with that. Chris Childs and Charlie Ward were not known for their scoring prowess necessarily, but they were suitable starting point guards for their time because they were good ball handlers. They had high IQs. They were tough, and they were good defensive players. And they could hit the occasional big shot and an occasional three. So, and they could run the offense. So that was good back then. But today the game is different. So Roberson, in my opinion, has to work on his free throw shooting. I was talking with 78 last night. Roberson has to work on his free throw shooting, and he especially needs to develop an outside shot. That's, to me, is a weakness with OKC. Is you can't have a guy in the backcourt that can't shoot. So when these things get addressed, when these things get worked on, that plus Carmelo Anthony finally accepting the fact that he's not the Carmelo Anthony that he was 3-4 years ago. This isn't the Carmelo that put 62 points up at Madison Square Garden. This definitely isn't the Carmelo Anthony we used to see with the Denver Nuggets 10, 12 years ago. All right? If, in my opinion, I think he's better suited to come off the bench at this stage of his career. But he's too proud. You know what I mean? Bob McAdoo, at one point in time, was a superstar. A superstar. I think his second year in the league. No, his second league in the year. I think he came in 72 from North Carolina. I think it was 72 when he was a rookie. I believe it was his second year. He won 3 consecutive scoring titles. One of those years putting up 34.8 points per game. This is guys putting up 30 points, about 12, 13 rebounds, all right, giving you 2 blocks a game and shooting a high percentage, all right, shooting 50% every year. Then he had some injury issues, you know what I mean, but he was able to reinvent himself with the Lakers, being a great 6-man coming off the bench for that Laker team in the early to mid part of the 80s, you know what I mean? Carmelo could be that type of guy, man, but he has to get over this ego shit that he got where he think he still is an elite scorer and an elite starter, and I just don't think he's a starting player in the league anymore, man. I think he's a liability on defense, and he'd be better off coming off the bench, but they'll have to work these things out. Just like with the Miami Heat, that first year, they had chemistry issues, all right? people wanted Chris Bosh to play a certain way. They wanted him to be tough and a banger, and he's not a banger. All right, they worked that out. Chris Bosh became more of a jump shooter, which was a comfortable role for him. And finally, after their loss to the Mavericks, if I remember something correctly, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were chilling somewhere, maybe on some beach, maybe in Barbados or something. And Wade told James, look, I want you to be the leader on this team, man. You lead us. This is your team now. Because there was that tension, you know what I mean? Maybe with this team, there had to be some type of sacrifice on one of these guys, you know? Somebody has to say, look, I want you to be the number one option on offense. That's how this is going to work. Let me defer. And then I think OKC will be better off when they sort these things out. But that's my opinion. Tell me what you guys think.